What a great crowd. Are y'all fired up? Yeah. Are you ready to go? Yeah. We've got 14 days left. This has been such an exciting election cycle, but we've got a lot of work to do. I got involved in public service many years ago. It was actually a Saturday morning, and my wife Abby is here right now. My wife Abby and I were in our townhome kitchen, and we had learned about a program called the Amber Alert, which was started down in Texas, named after a little girl, Amber Hagerman, who'd been the victim of a terrible crime. And the community created a child safety program that was premised upon the idea that when it comes to public safety, it's a responsibility of everybody in the community to act. And we didn't have anything like an Amber Alert in Virginia. Nobody had ever heard of it. And I can remember that Saturday morning, Abby and I started calling non-emergency numbers to police departments saying, we're the Shannon family, we'd like to have an Amber Alert in Northern Virginia. Well, as you might imagine, that was not the day that we started the Amber Alert. But what we did was we reached out to citizens from across Virginia, to law enforcement, to local elected officials, and to members of the media. And 2 years later, we created Virginia's first Amber Alert, and actually the first interstate Amber Alert program in the country. At the time, I was a lawyer down in Washington, D.C., and I can remember reading an article when I was working late one night entitled Haran's Heroes. It's an article about legendary state prosecutor, the Fairfax prosecutor for 40 years, Bob Haran. It talked about the many cases he handled representing people in our community who had been the victims of violent crimes. And I remember one case in particular stuck out with me. It was the case of Melissa Brannon. Melissa and her mom were living in an apartment along Route 1. She was a victim of an abduction. They never found Melissa, but Bob Haran was able to secure a conviction, an abduction conviction against the guy on the basis of one fiber that was found in his vehicle that matched with the sweater that Melissa was wearing the day she went missing. I can remember putting down that article and thinking to myself, I know what I want to do. I want to be a prosecutor in Fairfax County, and I want to work for Bob Haran. And when I was given that opportunity, I volunteered to be one of the 2 prosecutors in our locality that represents all the cases involving children who have been the victims of violent crimes. And those cases change you. They make you realize that results really matter in government. They make you realize that you need to be compassionate when you're in government. And they make you work a lot harder than you ever thought you might be able to. I ran for the House of Delegates in 2003 in a district that many people thought was unwinnable for somebody running as a Democrat. So many people in this room knocked on doors with me in that election cycle. We proved people wrong. And we've been able to do a lot over the past 6 years under the leadership of Mark Warner, under the leadership of Tim Kaine. When it comes to public safety and the role of the Attorney General, the job of the Attorney General is to make sure that every community is safe, to protect our children and our grandkids on the internet, to deal with the issue of drug trafficking, to combat gang activity. The job of the Attorney General is not to push a far right-wing social agenda, it's not to push a far right-wing cultural agenda. The role of the Attorney General is not to try to divide our citizens between the haves and the have-nots. The role of the Attorney General is to be the people's lawyer, to be your lawyer. And that's why I'm running for the position of Attorney General, and that's why I'm running elections are tough. And I learned a long time ago that you need 4 things in order to win elections. Because I view elections as a team sport. It's not an individual sport. You need good candidates. You need people who are passionate about what they believe in. You need the resources. Maybe most importantly, particularly in the last 2 weeks of an election, you need an infrastructure. You need people who believe what you believe. People who care enough about their community and their commonwealth that they're willing to spend time calling their neighbors, calling people in the community, knocking on doors, reminding people to vote. This election is going to be decided largely on the basis of turnout. Last year we had over 70% of registered voters come out to vote, and it was historic in nature. And this year the cynics will tell you, we're only going to have 40% come out to vote. There's something fundamentally wrong when your strategy is premised upon 40% of the electorate coming out to vote. And we're going to prove them wrong, aren't we? So we've got 14 days to go and so much to do. I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank you for all the work that I think you're going to do over the next 2 weeks to help get me elected Attorney General. And collectively, over the next 4 years, we're going to make Virginia a much safer place for all of our families to call home. Thank you very much. One of the great joys of this campaign cycle is I've been able to run with 2 tremendous public servants. and I get the honor of introducing the next one. I got to know Jody Wagner during my time in the General Assembly when she served as the Secretary of Finance under Governor Tim Kaine. Jody Wagner had the responsibility as the Secretary of Finance for appearing before the House Appropriations Committee, in which I served, to talk to the legislators about the key investments and the strategies that our governor has promoted in order to make Virginia a great place for us to live and work. She has done a tremendous job, and she would be a tremendous, tremendous lieutenant governor. And with your help, we're going to get her elected in 2 weeks. So with that, let me introduce the next lieutenant governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, my friend, Jody Wagner.